and only good people would disagree with Donald Trump. Only bad people would agree with anything he says. That mindset, that groupthink, is what has got them in this position in the first place.
Bev, I know you're in Washington, and I know you had a love-in with Trump last week. This is actually about the future of national broadcaster. It's not about Donald Trump. It's about the BBC. And I sat through 2 hours today. I listened to it all. Listened to Samir Shah, who was very well rehearsed. He had Brutus on his right hand, ready to plunge the knife into his back. And he did very, very well. But he did admit, look, they've been very slow. They knew about the Trump edit in January of this year. This is now November. Only now is it starting to hit the fan. They should be far quicker. Put their hands up and said, we made a mistake. So let's move it away from Trump. Please. Sod Trump. This is about a great British institution, the BBC.
But it is about Trump, because what they've demonstrated, what he perfectly crystallised for them, is their ingrained ideological position on major news stories, whether it is President Trump, whether it is the trans debate, whether it is the eco agenda, whatever it is, whether it is Brexit, whether it is illegal migration. The BBC takes a position and sits there smugly thinking they are right and everybody else is wrong. And today just demonstrated that yet again, Alex, that they haven't learned anything.
I know. The thing is, Bev, the BBC know how bad this is. They know this looks beyond shoddy, but they're just digging themselves a deeper hole. The BBC News Department have argued that the edit was justified. And what they've said, and I've made some notes for you, is Trump mentioned the word fight 15 times, but he only mentioned peace once. So we thought this was kind of justified. Well, it's not, because he could have been saying fight the good fight, onward Christian soldiers. Just because he said the word fight doesn't give the BBC the right to change the narrative. And there was no obvious flash. We all know as viewers that sometimes a white flash comes up on the screen and you know that it's an edit, or they fade the screen to black.
Yeah.
This was manipulating what Donald Trump said, and this is all about Trump. This is about, yes, it's about the BBC, but it's if they're going to do this to the President of the United States, who else have they done this to? I'm just horrified and embarrassed, and I want to fight for the BBC. Okay, I'm an ex-employee, but I want to fight for the BBC. And if you work for the BBC, they really test your love.
Alex, look, this is a mistake. Nobody defends it. What about the 99% of news and current affairs and entertainment and everything else? The BBC is a great national institution, which the British public love. I mean, all right, the love has been a little bit damaged by things like this, but they don't love Donald Trump. They love the BBC. So, in any case, has Trump got a case? He's getting very bad legal advice.
But you've got.
What I've read.
Well,
there are record numbers, John, of people who don't want to pay their licence fee. If I beat you to it, then maybe, Alex, a little bit. We had figures this week saying that there's £1 billion now not being people who have loved the BBC no longer want to pay the licence fee, and that was happening before this Trump scandal. All the Trump situation has done is found a smoking gun that people can actually point at and go, well, there you go. That's what some of us have been saying for 5 years at least.
23 million pay the licence fee, 300,000 didn't last year, so 23 million. That's half the British population, and they pay it because they get value for money out of the BBC, and they know what they're getting, and they love it, How many watch Traitors? How many watch Strictly Come Dancing? Stop being obsessed with Trump.
I agree. No, I'm not obsessed, John, because the point being that some of the factual entertainment that the BBC does is outstanding. It's the best in the world, and it has been for decades. Right. Where they get it wrong is the arrogance of the newsroom talking to each other in an echo chamber of liberal elites, call them what you want, posh people who live in Islington who have no idea how normal people think. And those normal people quite like President Trump, and if this has crystallised their perception of the BBC, then that is something the BBC has to reflect upon, and they're just not doing it. There's still today, there's no sense of learning.
I live in Oxford. And I'm liberal, and I'm
Could I
proud
just
of
say
it.
something, Bev? I was once pulled in to a BBC office when I made a comment on the radio. I don't even remember. It's probably around about 2015. Donald Trump was saying some quite pithy things, and he came up with this line, which was true. It was a little pointed, but he said, "They're not sending us their best Mexicans. Those ones walking in over the border, they are not pilots and surgeons," right? And I thought it was a good line. I'm not expecting all of my listeners to have agreed with it or disagreed with it. And I went on the air and I said, this guy's funny. This guy is making headlines. I was pulled into a BBC office and told not to talk about Trump. And that was in 2015. And the other point I wanted to make, Bev, is if Trump does sue the BBC for $1 billion or even $500 million, the BBC can't pay it. They've got 477 million in cash reserves. That's all they've got. He could, on paper, finish the BBC, and he would be justified to do it.
Maybe that's what he wants to do, because he's managed to kill off a lot of the American public broadcasters, and he's taken on all the networks. You know, Trump doesn't believe in opposition. You got to realise that. PBS, NPR, all gone. Voice of America, gone.
But they didn't hand Trump a loaded gun. The BBC have handed him a loaded gun.
Well, that's your
right,
view.
Gentlemen,
Gross mistake.
we've got to wrap it up. But thank you both so much. Really appreciate it. Alex Dyke and John Mayer, they're both formerly of the BBC. Let me know your thoughts this evening. gbnews.com/your say. Let me ask my panel whilst you are here. Laurie, let me come to you first on this situation. How much damage do you think Donald Trump wants to cause the BBC?
Oh, the maximum amount of damage. We've seen here in the United States that he will sue U.S. news networks, whether or not they admit any wrongdoing. A lot have paid him a hefty sum, CBS being one of them. ABC he sued. He's suing the Wall Street Journal right now over, reporting about the Epstein cartoon, etc. So your panelists were talking about how much damage this does to Donald Trump. I don't think it does any damage to him whatsoever. I think that he enjoys perpetuating this story because it continues to give him a platform to talk about fake news and anyone that criticizes him, that they are in the wrong, they are lying, etc. So I don't think it damages him at all, but I think he is going to continue to press this forward. And as long as journalists like yourself keep talking about it, your interview with him in the White House, you talked about it for a while, and he's going to keep going with it.
Does he, though, in your opinion, try and be as fair as possible, has he received more negative press in the last 8-10 years than other politicians?
I don't think that's accurate, no.
Thomas?
I mean, I think it's just, particularly in the UK, of course, and I thought it was interesting. One of those guests said that the British public don't like Trump. Well, I would argue they don't like Trump because the BBC tells them to not like him. If they actually sat down and listened to his policies and some of the things he's done for America, it could be great for the UK if they copied some of his policies. Instead, everyone's so petrified of saying anything. As one of the guests said there about the crossing the border line, if you mentioned that, it was an outrage. So, and I thought that was a really shocking statement that he made today. He purposefully apologized to everyone but the president. The BBC have to have had lawyers and people like planning this. He actually sat there and said, I'm sorry to everyone except the president. So I think if the president sees that, he's going to be upset. I think the BBC are hoping that he's got his eyes on other things and it's going to go away. But we're going to make sure that he sees these things. Yeah,
well, he clearly is watching these things and he's seeing it. And I think from the BBC's point of view, today was an opportunity to just kind of set the record straight and just pour some oil on troubled waters here and just think, how arrogant are they? How supercilious are they when they can't even say, look, we've thought about how we amend our balance in the newsroom, because that is all any of us are saying. In the same way that we have to on GB News, we have to say both sides of every story. We are Ofcom regulated, they are not.
You have two sides here today.
In the same way.
At the desk.
We always do.
Always.
And yet you would see, I would never be invited onto the BBC as a talking head. You would be. Do you do the BBC
Not anymore,
here?
No.
That's what anybody that is seen to be remotely right-wing in inverted commas conservative, small c conservative, would be considered only as a niggle, maybe somebody you have to have in if you have to. You would be considered an inconvenience. But anyway, let me know at home what you think, won't you? gbnews.com/your say. Still to come this evening on The Late Show Live. Why is Venice's Grand Canal glowing green? And why has Greta Thunberg been banned from the city? We'll tell you why shortly, but first of all, we're going to talk about a new Chinese super embassy which is about to open in London. What does it mean for the UK? We're going to unpack this next with some American voices who think we are being very naive. This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to The Late Show Live. Now, America is concerned about a new Chinese super embassy that has been given the green light by Sir Keir Starmer. Now, this is according to our political correspondent, Olivia Otley, who has been at the US Embassy in London today and was briefed on America's worries. Here she is.
Yes, I spoke to US officials this morning at a briefing at the American Embassy on cyber security and the importance of America and the UK working together on those cyber security threats. I asked about the Chinese super embassy, which is proposed to be built in London. US officials said yes, they were concerned about that. They were clear to say that, of course, it is a British decision, but the person I spoke to said that he would expect that Britain would look very closely into any potential ramifications of that decision. I also asked about whether the threat from China or the threat from Russia was more severe. Now, as we know, there have been some heavily publicised cyber attacks from Russia on much of the UK critical infrastructure. But actually, the US official I spoke to said that the threat from China was more serious than the threat from Russia, both in scale and in intent. America is taking that threat from China very, very seriously. And if you read between the lines of what the officials were saying this morning, it sounded a little as though they didn't quite believe that the UK was taking it quite as seriously as they should be.
Thank you. Olivia there in Westminster. We are going to be talking in just a moment to somebody who is a real expert in this area, but you two, first of all, not that you're not experts, but you know what I mean. We are bringing up our guest in just a minute, Thomas, but I was having a conversation with some people today who are very invested in this concept. They're very good on foreign affairs, and they were asking me as a Brit, they were American, what are you doing with China? You are being incredibly naive about how close you are letting them get to your country. How have we let this happen?
Yeah, and I think we saw the other day the MOD bought all these Chinese cars, and I've got to put stickers on them and say don't talk about anything in the cars. But and I do think it's weird that the UK is so obsessed with Russia. I think imagine if Russia announced they want to build a super embassy, everyone across all politics, all parties would say no, absolutely not. But China, it's like China is so obviously a much bigger threat to the UK. And the Americans have realised that and woken up to that. The UK is still fixated on this Russia issue. So I think the UK is misguided. And I don't really know why they're doing it. I think they're thinking that maybe they can cozy up or play both sides. But it's not a good decision.
I think almost on a basic level, we're almost sort of too polite in the UK. That you have some Chinese delegates who might come to a boardroom in Westminster and they sit there and they talk all the right, make all the right noises. They talk the right language about how much money they're going to invest in our country. And I do sometimes think MPs sit there and they're just a little too polite and go, well, that sounds good, and they walk out the room. And nobody has the backbone to say, hang on a minute, should we be a little bit more sceptical here? Whereas the Americans are quite happy to push back.
Well, and I think also Donald Trump could be pushing back a lot harder than he is. You had a guest on here a few weeks ago that I was on with, and we all agreed, a conservative, about the 650,000 Chinese citizens that Trump is going to allow in to our country as part of this deal with China to lower the tariffs, etc. 650,000 people, that's over 500,000 people coming into this country who they are known to steal our intellectual property, to steal trademarks, etc., to have cyber threats, all kinds of nefarious activity. So I don't know why that was even allowed by Trump, but there are many foreign policy experts here in this country that think that he should be doing even more playing a stronger game with Xi Jinping, and he's not. And I don't understand why. And we need to, because they are filling this vacuum across the world, where a lot of, I don't know if you want to get into like humanitarian aid and USAID, but they have filled the vacuum already. And a lot of even Thomas is agreeing with me. See, in a lot of these countries where the United States had a presence, where we are on the ground, and we have left. And guess who just stepped in? Immediately was ready to go. China.
So that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. It does seem obvious when you think about it. But also
taking over Africa, Bev. Absolutely taking over Africa.
And there isn't a Chinese company that is set up anywhere in the world that does not have the Chinese government in some way behind it, or aware of it, or looking into it. I think we have been caught napping in this area badly. And of course, Trump is going to he's accepted an invitation from Xi Jinping, hasn't he, to visit Beijing, I think, in April. And then the US is going to hold a state visit in Washington later in the year as well. Maybe President Trump is just thinking, keep your friends safe, but keep your enemies safer. Because Trump 2.0 is much more mellow, I think, than Trump version 1.
Yeah, and I think he certainly has got eyes on China much more. Obviously the first time it was always China, China, China was his line, but now I think it's actually a very serious threat. If you look at China, they now have the largest navy in the world. We've got a lot of people, countries, Peru, for example, are raising that they come in these fishing and they raid all the fish off the coast of Peru. So I think a lot of countries now are starting to rise up and realize that China is quite a big threat. But it doesn't seem that the UK seems seem to think that. The UK seem to be in bed with them. So, and I think, as you said, when these Chinese come and present to MPs, they don't see it as the same way as if like Russian oligarchs were coming and presenting, which is exactly what they are. They're throwing their money around, and the Brits are so much more anti-Russian than they are anti-Chinese. So,
and of course, in 2020, when Donald Trump was calling COVID the Chinese virus, the China virus, he got so roundly criticised. You can't say it's a China virus; it's ever so racist. And
the hate crimes against Chinese individuals here in the United States exploded because of that talk. By the way, also.
Oh, really?
Oh, it did. That's factual, Bev. What I'm saying is he was saying that for a reason. He was blaming China when a lot of the rest of the world,
he was right.
Yes, exactly.
He was right about Wuhan.
But the rest of the world, to your point, was not willing to point the finger or give credit where credit was due in a negative way.
Yeah. I'm just waiting to see if we have our guest now. Is Brent with us? No, he's still not here yet. Should we move on to something else? We will try and get Brent. Let me see what you've all been saying at home. You've been responding here to the story that we opened the evening with, of course, about the BBC. And Rob has said the chap saying we all love the BBC ended by saying that Trump wants to finish off the BBC because he can't stand opposition, while showing he realises the edits were intentional and deliberate. As for the popularity of Strictly, Traitors, etc., people will pay subscriptions for those then. And Nick Nevin says the beloved, trusted, oh so popular BBC has lost £1 billion of revenue recently. That's right, that's the number that I mentioned, Nick. The licence fee is unsustainable now. So many people are refusing to buy one. Expect more people to follow their lead in the very near future. And we will pay the licence fee, says Catherine. We still pay because we like watching live TV, but it is all, but more often, for example, Drama Quest, PBS America and GB News, of course, more than we like the BBC. Thank you, Catherine. And Daniel says, hopefully Trump will finish the BBC and put us out of our misery. Right, there is a brand new way to take part in the conversation by becoming a friend of GB News. On top of what you've just seen there on Your Say, you can scan the QR code on your screen now. No QR code. You might have noticed a deliberate mistake then. Right, still to come on The Late Show Live this evening. So that was an Australian senator wearing a burqa on the Senate floor to spark a debate, of course, about whether we should be banning the burqa or they should be. In Australia, we're going to have more on that shortly. But also, the American president wants to make movies macho again. Apparently, is Hollywood about to undergo a major overhaul with bringing back 80s and 90s classics? Would you like to see that? Is it just healthy nostalgia or toxic masculinity? This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
From taxes and rent to the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there
with expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday.
Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Stephen Dixon, and thanks for joining us on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Late Show Live with me, Bev Turner. Now, have movies all got a bit soft and a little bit woke? Well, American president has his eyes set on making the film industry macho again, possibly. Larry Ellison, a Donald Trump backer and Paramount shareholder, is bidding for control of Warner Brothers Discovery, which could give the president some creative input on upcoming projects. A revival of the 1988 Jean-Claude Van Damme sports flick Bloodsport is already on the cards. So is the president about to make Hollywood macho again? Well, joining me now is film critic and podcaster Van Connor. Good evening, Van. Thank you very much for joining me. I don't know, maybe Hollywood needs to become a little bit more macho again. We need to see some real men, do we?
I mean, I don't personally agree. I think that Hollywood's pretty macho enough. We still have Expendables flicks being made to this day. Also, I don't really know what creative freedom Donald Trump would get from Paramount owning Warner Brothers that he doesn't already get from his mate owning Paramount. It just seems kind of weird to me.
It is a bit of a stretch, this story. I can't lie. Let's start from that point. It is a bit of a stretch. When I'm like, I think we're joining the dots together here. It's not like but we know it's not like he's bought a movie company. However, we all know, don't we, that if Donald Trump had his way, he'd probably bring back some 80s, 90s nostalgia. Would that be a bad thing?
I mean, he's kind of already on that train. A couple of years ago, he installed 3 hierarchical Hollywood ambassadors who he thought represented, you know, the best of Hollywood. This is in the last 3 years. And they comprised of, and this tells you roughly the kind of level he gauges the industry on, Jon Voight, Sylvester Stallone, and Mel Gibson. Not one of those 3 you describe as packing them in at the multiplex anytime recently. Also, if we're being really accurate about it, why would the biggest entertainment gig on the planet listen to a man with 4 bankruptcies to his name? Like, that would seem kind of counterintuitive, right?
I don't know. Is that a little? Let me bring my panel in here. Is that a little harsh, Thomas, to say that President Trump couldn't have a say in it because he's had bankruptcies?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in business world, you use bankruptcies for various things, and that's what he's always said. But I don't like this idea. I'm so sick of repeats. Can we not have any original ideas? You know, every movie now is a number 2, a number 3, and I think people are crying out for something new. And you know what hasn't happened in a while is new actors. Why is it everything is, you know, featuring Ryan Gosling? And I'm like, remember the days when a movie would come out and there'd be like an unknown, a young actor. It's exciting, like with this James Bond thing. I'm like, pick a new guy, pick someone. It doesn't need to be, you know, another well-known Idris Elba. We don't want that. Get us a nice young new actor, and I think people will be excited about that. But Hollywood is really struggling.
Are you putting yourself forward, Thomas?
Look, if I have to do it, I'll do it. You know.
I don't know about you, Laurie, but I think he was making a pitch there to be the next James Bond.
I think you were, yeah.
I mean, I'll do it.
So here's my take. Now, I had never seen Rush Hour, believe it or not, until quite recently.
I haven't seen it even now.
In Ottawa, and we watched it. And I have to say, your viewers will probably be shocked when I say this. I was laughing my behind off because this is a movie from the 90s, right? Where you could get away with talking about making jokes about race and whatnot. And I'm not saying that it should be to somebody's detriment or to where it causes undue harm, etc. But it was funny. And we all looked at each other, and we were all a pretty liberal crowd that was watching this movie, and we were like, wow, we miss these days.
Yes.
This stuff was hilarious. Now, I agree with Thomas. I don't think that they should bring back like a fourth Rush Hour 4 or anything like that. But what I am paying particular attention to is if Ellison buys has this Paramount deal, he will also own potentially CNN. And where I don't want to see any kind of manipulation is with broadcasting, is with journalism. And there's been talk already, rumors going on that one of the first calls that he's going to make is getting rid of Brianna Kellerman and Aaron Burnett from CNN. Two female journalists who are at the top of their game. Stuff like that I am not going to be in support of, just because they criticized Donald Trump.
Yeah,
we were talking about this earlier with the BBC.
For our British viewers, CNN being a very left-leaning, pro-Democrat news channel that has not always portrayed President Trump, he would say, in a factual or flattering way. Let's bring Van back with us if you are still with us, Van. I think the point that Laurie made there about the days when we could look at movies and we watch them now through a 2025 lens, which is obsessed with identity politics, obsessed with not offending anybody. I think they are a joy to walk down memory lane when people could actually laugh at themselves and each other.
I mean, I take somewhat umbrage with that because I think that lacks kind of contemporary context of cinema. Also, by the way, going back to the Bloodsport thing, Donald Trump wants Bloodsport back. Bloodsport's still going on. That franchise never ended. Jean-Claude Van Damme's still doing it, just goes direct to DVD now. But as far as identity politics, they've got Crazy Rich Asians was like 20 minutes ago. And they're still trying to make sequels to that thing. Believe me, there's no humor you're getting from Rush Hour that you're not getting from Crazy Rich Asians. It's kind of just where you go and look for it. This stuff doesn't wind up being $100 million opening weekend bums on seats multiplex affair anymore, because guess what? Gen Z make up the bulk of ticket goers now, and they don't pay to see movies. That's also, by the way, why you don't have stars anymore, because the only way you can get Gen Z into a cinema is by serving them a brand and not a star. It's kind of the reason superheroes are a thing, and the only reason superheroes get the caliber of talent they do is because it's the only game anyone can get that's going to give them a sizable audience now. So it's not really originality is all well and good. I would be the first guy in line for I want more original stuff in cinemas. I want new franchises, like, give me more stuff like Now You See Me this century and stuff like that. But no one will see them. Our age bracket are all just going to wait for streaming. The younger kids simply will not sit in a cinema for 2 hours. It's just how it goes.
That is so depressing.
It is.
That they haven't got the they haven't got the concentration and the attention span to sit and watch a whole movie. Well, do they sit in the cinema like they do sat at home with watching the movie but also flicking through their phone at the same time like they do at home when I say, put your phone down, concentrate, put your phone down? Bingo. Are people doing that in cinemas as well, Van?
Literally in premieres now.
Oh. Oh, honestly, it's just so depressing that they can't. So people sat in premieres would be sat there, tweeting about the movie they're watching, Instagramming clips of the movie.
Actually, most of the time they want to take photos
the
of the screen while it's on. I don't know why, but they do.
Thomas, I can't live in this world.
Well, people are used to their 10-second clips now. That's the only, attention span we've got. You need a 10-second, and then I need something else. So, it's the dual screening. Everyone's got two screens in front of them. So
it's also similar to when you go to a concert. It's all about FOMO, right? Like, I'm taking a picture to post this because I want everybody who's not here to know that I was here, but they're not paying attention to the performance that's going on. That is what annoys me. It's like, put down your phone, you're not even looking at the performer on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, thank you all so much. Right, thank you, Van, for joining us to talk about that. Okay, moving on. Still to come this evening on The Late Show Live, we'll take a look at tomorrow's front pages and break down the stories making the headlines, including the Daily Telegraph there with a stunning photograph of the First Lady. We will tell you what she was doing outside the White House today. Don't go anywhere. This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to The Late Show Live. Well, have you got your Christmas tree yet? I can't believe I'm asking you that when it's still November, but today, First Lady Melania Trump officially welcomed the 2025 White House Christmas tree. Do you welcome your Christmas tree, or do you just
my wreath
buy
has been up since last week because I needed joy in my life. You probably don't agree with that, Beth, but my neighbors have loved it.
Well, this is Melania. Look at them. They've got, if you're listening on the radio, there's some blokes in an old-fashioned horse and cart with the biggest tree imaginable on the back of the car. Apparently it's the first time that a Michigan farm has provided the holiday tree in more than 4 decades. What's the relevance of that?
Well, they pick a different state every year, so you never know where it's going to come from.
Oh, but, so the state will be very pleased with this.
Yeah, and the other one that's big, the one in New York, and they have a helicopter like follows the tree as it makes its journey down from, I don't know, where is it, Vermont the Rockefeller one comes from?
Usually Vermont, kind of nearby, but yes,
right,
there's
like
a tracking device that shows the tree. And
it's like follow it live, it's like a police chase, it's so fun.
Yes. That tree, though, was so huge. Apparently it's going to go in the Blue Room in the White House, and I'm sure it will look incredible, because if there's anything that Melania Trump does incredibly well, I mean, look how beautiful she is. I'm sorry. But we were slightly in awe of the outfit as well, weren't we, Laurie? I think she looks amazing.
Great outfit.
Great outfit. She's great at this stuff. She does... in terms of what a First Lady, if you just want the First Lady to look amazing, have a few charities close to her heart, make the house look beautiful, I mean, she is that. Right, let's delve into some of the main stories on the front pages tomorrow. The Guardian are leading with victory for carers after inquiry into debt scandal. This is hundreds of thousands of claimants apparently found to be victims of official errors for carers. The Sun are leading with Jeff Brazier It's amazing. You will know Jade Goody. Was that her name? Jade Goody?
That's
that was
right,
her name. She died, what, 16, 17 years ago now?
Wow.
I think it's that long ago. But you can still write the word Jade on the front page of a newspaper and people know who you're talking about. And obviously that's Jeff, her widower, and he
Isn't her son famous now as well, I think? He's like a TikToker or something.
That's right, yeah. Jeff is a really, really lovely man. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times, actually. Daily Telegraph leading with the BBC in disarray over bias claims. We've got one of the journalists who's been on this story from day one, Connor Stringer, who's going to be in the studio to talk to us about that in the next hour. The Times are talking about the budget. Of course, on Wednesday, Rachel Reeves telling Labour MPs to unite for her budget. Good luck with that, Rachel Reeves. And let's talk now to Leo Kearse, who joins us from the GB News studio in London. Leo, great to see you, my friend. Right, what do you want to talk about? It's on the front pages of the papers.
So, yeah, on the front page of the papers, they're covering the Ukraine and US tearing up the peace proposal for a new 19-point plan. So a couple of days ago, America presented a 28-point plan. I don't know if it was actually written by anybody in the administration. There are rumours. A lot of Republicans disowned it. There were rumours that it had just been cut and pasted from something sent to them by the Russian administration. I don't know. Maybe that's just conjecture, speculation, people having fun. But
you sound like the BBC.
It does seem like like Trump wants to just wash his hands of Ukraine. So I mean, there clearly wasn't a huge amount of thought went into it. He just wanted something out there so he could say, look, I tried, and then walk away. And to be honest, I mean, who can blame him? It's Europe's problem, and the reality is that Europe is just woefully taking its eye off the ball and just relied on Big Brother America looking after it for the past 20, 30, 40 years. So I mean, it's so disappointing to see Europe and Britain in such a state. So hopefully this is going to galvanise Europe to actually sort of rearm and become stronger countries, because I think that could be wonderful for Europe, wonderful for Britain. There was a poll conducted this year that said that half of Britons would not fight for their country. And that's because for the last several decades, we've had all the national spirit just scraped from us. Any sort of national pride, any sort of flag in a window is seen as some sort of horrible racism or horrible jingoistic xenophobia. So it'd be great for us to actually feel pride in our nation again and actually have something to defend. And also, how can you tell people to go to fight in Ukraine when there are thousands of fighting age men coming from the Horn of Africa and God knows where over the Channel every day? I think a lot of people would be thinking, well, I'm not gonna go and risk my life overseas while my wife and my kids are possibly going to get victimized by these guys. They might see their enemy as closer to home.
I said on Britain's newsroom, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago, maybe more, because actually the Ukraine conflict's been going on for 2.5 years now. It's mind-boggling when you stop to think about that. And I said I wouldn't want my kids. We were talking about that Hardy perennial came up, Leo, like it does. Should there be national service? Should your teenagers be forced to go to the front line in Ukraine if they have to? And I was like, no, I just wouldn't support that at all. I don't want them to fight for my own country at the moment, never mind another country. And I got a bit of a kicking for it. And then do you know what I got really interestingly? A lot of ex-military men got in touch with me and said, I agree with you. And I was in the army and I was in the forces, and now I wouldn't want my children to go and fight for this shower who were running this country, and that is dreadful. And I have to say, and this sounds like I'm being partisan, but I'm not, it is a fact that they've never had more people volunteering to be in the services here in America that they do at the moment since President Trump came into office. People are literally queuing up to die for their country or to kill for their country. And if that isn't a sign of somebody that's running the country well and engendering a sense of pride, I don't know what is. Can I ask you, Leo, what you made of the hearing at the House of Commons today about the BBC and whether they did a decent job of apologising?
Oh, the BBC are just going through the motions again. I mean, this has happened before. The bias in the BBC is so ridiculous. I was talking about it on Patrick's show. Even if you just look at comedy, I mean, that's the bit that interests me, because I've been on the BBC a couple of times as a comedian, but, you know, obviously I'm not a stalwart like Nish Kumar. But if you look at the political bias in BBC comedians, so 98% of BBC comedians are left-wing and 2% are Jeff Norcott. Like, the bias is just so obvious and so vast, and that's across everything. You know, even the weather can only be read by a communist. So that's across every facet of the BBC. So they're going through the motions, but what's going to happen is people are going to stop paying their BBC TV licence. So it's already down by £1 billion. That's going to accelerate. They're starting to send more aggressive letters. They've sent millions of enforcement people to enforce the TV licence. I mean, this must be tough for an American audience to understand. We've got to have a licence to own a TV. Like, are they going to introduce like microwave licenses, dishwasher licenses? It's an absolute nonsense.
Hopefully not an air fryer licence. I've got 3 of those. Couldn't live without my air fryer. They'd make a lot of money, the government, if they start putting licences on air fryers, actually. But that interesting what you say about comedians. Just briefly, Leo, are comedians all around the world left-wing, though? Isn't that just because you're all poor?
No, I mean, like, in reality, comedians are all self-starting Thatcherite entrepreneurs going out and hustling for money in a free market. Like, but they pretend to be left-wing because they want to get booked by the gatekeepers.
Perfect. Right, Leo, we'll talk to you in the next hour. Thank you so much, Leo Kurz there in the GB News studio. Right, more to come in the next hour. Don't go anywhere.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be the sunniest day of the week for many of us today, but it is feeling colder out there and there is a frost expected more widely this evening. We've got a northerly wind across the UK, particularly across coastal areas, and this will drag in a few showers to eastern areas of Scotland, England, as well as southwestern areas of Wales, down in the southwest of England too, down into Cornwall. But for many of us, it will be a dry and clear day. Plenty of sunshine out there, but with that northerly wind, it will feel chillier. Temperatures in the single figures wherever you are, and particularly if you're exposed to that onshore wind off the North Sea, it's going to be feeling colder than it has done over the past few days. And now into this evening, there's very little in the way of change. Another dry evening to come for many areas. A few showers, though, across the far north and west of Scotland. We've got a weather front approaching from the north and west that will take centre stage throughout Wednesday afternoon. Across Northern Ireland, we'll start to see some cloud thicken, but further inland across Scotland, northern areas of England, we'll start to see that frost setting in this evening quite early on, I think. And a few showers could come further inland across eastern areas of England this evening. But for many of us, it is going to be a dry night. And as I said, the frost will really start to set in. You can see those blues across the map. That's showing we're expecting temperatures to dip below 0. So it's quite a widespread affair by Wednesday morning away from the far southeast of England. So we could be down as low as -6 or -7 across parts of Scotland, -5 across rural areas of Wales and parts of the Midlands. As I said, on Wednesday, we've got a weather front on the way. Now that will push into parts of Northern Ireland, much of Western Scotland throughout Wednesday morning. The rain's not going to be particularly heavy, but there's going to be a lot of cloud with it. And with this rain and cloud, temperatures will be on the rise. You can see the wind direction starting to shift to more of a southwesterly, so up to 11 or 10 degrees. But in the south and east, although it's dry, it's still going to be a chilly one. Bye-bye.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
BBC had an opportunity today to defend themselves. 2 MPs. Did they do enough? This is The Late Show Live. The Late Show Live tonight.
I'd like to take this opportunity first of all to apologise to all the people who believe in the BBC and care for it and wish it to survive and thrive.
Well, that was Samir Shah begging for forgiveness in front of MPs today, but did he apologise to the right person?
I'm not looking to get into lawsuits, but I think I have an obligation to do it. This was so egregious.
Remember, the American president is said to be suing the BBC for billions. Is he going to call off his lawyers now? We're going to get the reaction from that performance here stateside. We're going to be cracking open tomorrow's front pages hours before the ink dry, breaking the news before it becomes news. We're live in Washington, just yards from the White House, bringing you the stories America's talking about and the matter to Britain too, including this.
Nonetheless, I'm happy to announce to you all, please welcome them, Gobble and Waddle.
Thanksgiving on Thursday, of course, so it's that time of the year where they pardon turkeys at the White House. I'm going to be there tomorrow, but let's talk this evening to a couple of farmers who've had theirs welcomed into the White House last year. I'm Bev Turner, this is The Late Show Live. Welcome to the second hours. We've got all the stories that you're going to be talking about later today, more debates and 0 ad breaks. Stay with me. So let's get back to our top story today. Chairman Samir Shah, yesterday for you in London, was grilled by MPs as he desperately tried to defend the corporation after President Trump said that he would sue the BBC for billions over their splicing of this now seen many times January the 6th speech.
I regret the mistakes that have been made and the impact that has had. I'd like to apologise to the licence fee payer, who funds the BBC to deliver its mission. And I'd like to apologise to the thousands of people who work for the BBC, our staff.
So that was the BBC Chair Samir Shah talking there. Also, there was Michael Prescott, the former BBC advisor, whose dossier exposed this whole saga. And he said this.
Do you agree that Donald Trump's reputation has been tarnished by this documentary?
Probably not.
You don't agree with him? Thank you. Caroline,
all I can say is I can't think of anything I agree with Donald Trump on.
I can't think of anything I agree with Donald Trump on. Let's get the take of Connor Stringer, Washington correspondent for The Telegraph, who is here with you. And of course, this is a story that you guys broke, that we have also run with, because I think our viewers really care about this story, Connor, and I know your readers do. And when you see Prescott there in that hearing today, I don't think there's anything Donald Trump says that I agree with. That is the bias that we're trying to expose, isn't it?
It's quite interesting that this is the man whose job was to mark the homework of the BBC, as I think you said earlier, and here he is perhaps, you know, offering his own opinion, number one, and two, not really kind of understanding, it seems, the core issue at hand here is that if the man who's supposed to mark the homework, albeit he's obviously done a good enough job and spot the bias as, you know, as he did, believes that Trump actually might not have actually been impacted by this and probably disagrees with the way this has kind of all fallen out. It just all seems very muddled, Bev, doesn't it? It just seems like nobody really has a grip or an understanding what's going on inside the BBC and where the kind of line they need to toe is.
Yeah, and it seemed like the debate was all about kind of the process. It's very BBC, that, isn't it? They're obsessed with the process, the system that works there, and it's such a behemoth that getting anything done must be a nightmare in that building anyway. But not concerned about the culture, which is what those of us who are journalists on the outside looking in are saying, your problem is your culture.
Absolutely.
The echo chamber.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
The groupthink, per se, as what we say. I mean, everyone can agree that the BBC is a great institution. We all grew up watching it. There was TV shows I'm sure we loved. I loved to watch Doctor Who, The Family, and watch the news as a kid. That's what got me into journalism.
Strictly is wildly popular still.
Blue Lights, Northern Irish police drama, fantastic. We love it.
Never heard that one.
Yeah, you should watch it. I'm telling you, it's really good. But the issue isn't the BBC itself or the product, like you say. It's the individuals in there. It's the culture there that needs changing. It's not necessarily something that has to be fixed top down. We need someone to go in here, take a grip of the situation and kind of reassess what has been created there. I thought it was very interesting today through today's kind of 3-hour, let's say, gentle interrogation. It wasn't a grilling, was it? No. By a far stretch, probably what we expected. But there was an illusion, there was a bit of a row with Deborah Turnus, the head of news, before she resigned, over whether the BBC, the splicing of the clips were actually fine and whether it was okay. And I think that, to me, was a real takeaway as to actually, if the head of news doesn't see why this is an issue here, we've got a bit of a wider problem. Yeah, absolutely. That is what, and also the fact that this was flagged in January. Nobody did anything about it. 11 months. 11 months. Yeah. That's how long it took. And I thought, actually, I mean, Samir, I thought his point was, I mean, it was interesting and I said relatively fair, but it's still mind-blowing, is that it's taken them 11 months to basically go back and forth and decide whether we should do something about this. And only really because they got found out. Right. That's the point, isn't it? That if Gordon Rayner, your colleague, and if the Telegraph, and if people weren't shining a light on it, they would have got away with it. And I think that's the issue with the BBC on so many big topics. I mean, I saw a fantastic image that I actually put on my social media this week, which was, did the BBC die of COVID or with COVID? Right. Which is just, I did not write that. I saw it and I thought, I'm having that. That is superb. Because that, for me, is when the BBC's credibility died, was during that period of time. I wasn't probably paying attention before spring 2020 as to how entrenched they were with one particular position and one perspective, and why that really matters, Connor. And it really matters. Why? Because still, for the vast majority of people in the UK, the BBC will be their one source of news. Absolutely, and it's, you know, it's a behemoth, like you say. It's massive. It's a state-funded news site read by millions of people across the world. And you're right. The issue is that the BBC has become so bureaucratic, is that it's getting tangled itself in knots and knots and knots over how to deal with this stuff, and particularly over the topics that are the most controversial, like January 6th, like COVID, for example, and they don't know where to go and where to handle these things.
Yeah, let's just remind ourselves what President Trump said when he spoke to GB News about, what was it, about 10 days ago, because obviously what will be happening now is there will be lawyers' letters, no doubt, going back and forth. It's gone a little quiet. We've had the FCC here, the equivalent of Ofcom in the US, say that they are also now starting an investigation. But just let's remind ourselves how resolute President Trump was when I spoke to him just 10 days ago.
You don't have to admit their guilt. It's on tape. You know, I mean, there's nothing to admit. No, I think very shortly we have a statutory period. We've notified them by writing, and I think you have to wait a week. And so that time's coming up. And after that time comes up, we'll sue them. My lawyers say for $1 billion or more. And we'll see how it all works out. But I can't imagine they could do very well in that lawsuit. What they've done is incredible. But I will say, I think I have an obligation to bring a major lawsuit against the BBC, because what they did is impossible to believe. Now, fake news was a great term, except it's not strong enough. You know, I'd like it to be stronger. You know, the word fake is one thing, but this is beyond fake. This is corrupt, what they did.
When you saw that, Connor, did you get a clearer idea of why he's so angry about this? Because I thought he just seemed really hurt and a bit baffled.
No, it seems to me that he takes it very personally.
Yeah.
And it's almost he sees it as his duty to do this. And like he mentions there, uncover how extreme and to the extent of which this has gone on. And I think there'll be individuals in the White House who will have looked at this today. Someone's job would have been to watch that, sit through 3 hours of that, and feedback as to where they stand. The lawyers, I'm sure, would have had an ear on it. So I'll be very interested to see how this lands over the next few days, and whether Trump himself has anything to say. I thought the most telling, as you say, that Mr. Shah had everyone to apologise for. He apologised to taxpayers, to viewers, to staff, but didn't apologise to the president himself. And there's one thing with Donald Trump, regardless if you like him or not, regardless of what you think of your views, you have to play to the man's characteristics. And apologising, even if through gritted teeth, is sometimes that you have to do it, and they've missed a beat there.
Yeah, I think they really have. And that what's so infuriating is by missing that beat, not reading the room, having the arrogance to not just hold their hands up and say, we accept that there might be people out there who like President Trump, and maybe we depicted him in the wrong way. They're going to cost the license fee payer money. That's the thing, that if they have to write a huge check to settle a big expensive litigation case, we are the ones paying for it.
Absolutely.
They have an obligation to try and pour oil on troubled waters. I've used that phrase before tonight.
Absolutely, and I actually think more so the whole model of the BBC is at risk here. I think we're getting to a point where this has brought to the fore for the first time, and probably the last time and the most poignant time, whether we should be paying a licence fee. And the BBC model from this can change completely after this.
Can I ask you on another topic, as we've got you here, as you are one of the chief DC writers for the Daily Telegraph. You've been writing about Russia, Ukraine, I think, have you, in the last 24 hours. Where do you think that is at now? They started with this 28-point peace plan. Marco Rubio in Geneva discussing this. It's now a 19-point peace plan. Trump clearly frustrated and wants it off his desk.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what this comes down to. 28-point peace plan is put together. It's extremely pro-Russian, very favourable to Moscow's views. It gets the blessing of Trump, who's read in over the phone on a flight back by Witkoff and Jared Kushner, his son-in-law.
Who did a great job in the Middle East.
They did do a fantastic job in the Middle East, and this is what the Trump technique and the tactic is. It's that they use Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to go off and cut deals. They're deal makers by trade, fantastic businessmen. And they go in and they shake the tree, and their motto is basically get a deal first, iron out the details later. But in this case, the details were the sticking point, and they were really poor.
And that is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been deep diving into this much more than I have today, but it's about the fact that Ukraine has to cut their military by 50%.
Exactly.
And they've said no.
Yeah.
And also Ukraine still want entry into NATO.
Yes.
And Russia has said no. And we might as well just give up now, because that is the point that Russia will not let go.
Absolutely. And obviously the issue of territory as well, whether Ukraine should be giving up the Donbass, something that they hold half of it round about the moment that Russia holds the other half, but Russia wants it in full. So essentially handing over land that they don't even have control over. NATO's a big one, like you say. Putin sees any kind of encroachment or any kind of joining of NATO as a risk and a threat to him and Russian sovereignty. That's going to be a real stickler. And the troops thing, actually, by the sounds of it, Ukraine aren't necessarily as bothered as long as they have the security guarantees from the US that if and possibly when they ever be attacked again, the US will be there to fight with them.
If Zelensky won't compromise on that membership of NATO, this is not going to go away. That has been the sticking point for years now, Conor, as you say.
Yeah.
My heart sank when I realised that today. That was the point at which they weren't prepared to let it go.
Yeah, it's been the sticking, like you say, for years. And there are ways around it. You can see that Europe and the Americans are being quite creative. And it seems like the model now that they're leaning towards is, OK, we're not going to officially deem you as being part of NATO, but what we will say is that we'll give you some really pretty cast iron security guarantees that say if you're attacked, all the Europeans and the Americans will join with you. And crucially, we'll also let you into the European market. So it is essentially all but NATO in name. But for Putin, I still think he'll see that as a bit of a stretch too far. That's going to be the big stickler. And of course, it's the issue of reparations and money and who gets what and land. It's a headache that is not going to end anytime soon.
No.
Trump gave the deadline of Thanksgiving. I think he's obviously frustrated. That's what we're hearing behind the scenes. You saw that frustration boiling over to Truth Social when he was saying how annoyed and, that Zelensky didn't have any gratitude.
Yeah, and he said multiple occasions, well, you two just can't. His frustration is he likes to get people in a room and thrash it out. And he said, I can't even get you two in a room, meaning Putin and Zelensky. And if I can't get you in a room, how do I solve this? Just briefly before you go, I often see you in the White House in the briefing room. Are you going to the turkey pardon tomorrow, Conor?
I am. I've got devastating news to you. I'm not. I've got my own Thanksgiving plans. However, I'm told it is quite the spectacle and quite the occasion, so I'm quite jealous that you
What does one wear to a turkey pardoning?
I don't know. An apron?
Well,
do you wear an apron? I don't know. Yeah. Exactly, maybe that's too far.
And just like you would normally, are you with us on Thursday? Because we couldn't get any guests for Thursday because all the Americans.
I am doing a Thanksgiving.
You're doing something.
I've succumbed to the American Thanksgiving way, Bev. I know, I am. I'm going to have the full American experience in the Midwest, try it out, and then I can go back and tell you what it's like.
Well, that would be marvellous. Yeah, please do. Right, Conor, thank you so much for joining us. Let me know your thoughts this evening. gbnews.com/your say. Still to come tonight on The Late Show Live.
Nonetheless, I'm happy to announce you all. Please welcome them, Gobble and Waddle.
Well, this is what we were just talking about. It's one of Washington's weirdest holiday traditions, the presidential turkey pardon. I'll tell you what that's all about next. This is The Late Show Live. No ad breaks, remember, only on GB News. So it is Thanksgiving week here in America, and that means it's time for Washington's annual turkey pardon. And tomorrow, President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania will spare two lucky birds, Gobble and Waddle, during a Rose Garden ceremony. So Gobble and Waddle, we're looking at them here, and these aren't. This isn't this year's, is it? This is obviously a previous year. Well, Gobble and Waddle are tonight, I'm not joking, ladies and gentlemen, they spend a luxury night at the Willard Hotel before they get their pardon. Is that right, Conor?
That's where they are right now. That's them.
Oh, this is them?
This is them at the hotel. This was today.
OK, good. I'm glad you are here to tell me what's going on. Right, so this is them at the hotel. So these are the turkeys that were named by the public, I think. They did a poll on...
It's a poll, exactly.
On social media. So they are ugly looking things, aren't they? So they are now, tonight as we speak, getting a pedicure, a manicure, spa treatments at the Willard Hotel. And then I don't quite know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's this bizarre Washington tradition. Let's talk to turkey farmers Peter Gruel and John Zimmerman, whose birds Blossom and Peach were pardoned by Joe Biden last year. Let's go to you first, Peter. Right, Peter, can you educate this stupid British woman that does not understand what this is about at all? What happens with the turkey pardon? Please talk to me like I'm an idiot.
I'll definitely give you much more credit than that. So I definitely think that it's an experience where the president pardons 2 birds every year at Thanksgiving. So they're pardoned and they get to live out their life in a normally a community farm or an environmental habitat. So the turkeys are protected but taken care of and get to live out the rest of their days as happy turkeys on the sanctuary or farm they're at.
And so, Peter, you drove the turkeys to Biden last year, am I right?
Correct, yes.
And so what kind of journey is that? What do the turkeys go in? How long is your journey? Do you stop for snacks? How does it work?
Yes, so last year was about a 20-some-hour drive. We went from south central Minnesota all the way to D.C. I basically rent a minivan, put down a tarp and shavings and bedding, and we have about every 4 hours to stop and give them a chance to have a drink, something to eat, then walk around, and then carry on. And I drive with them all the way across, and it's every year it's from a different location.
Amazing. And John, you were the breeder of the turkeys, if I'm not wrong. Please correct me if I've got that wrong. And how do you get selected to have this honor?
So I was the 2024 chairman of the National Turkey Federation, which is our national trade organization for all turkey growers, processors, and allied industries. So as chairman, we get the honor of selecting and raising the presidential turkeys for the year that we are in office. So my son and I, as chairman, Peter gave us 44 baby turkeys in early July, and we raised those in a separate pen and had them exposed to all sorts of different lights and sounds and small children and anything we thought, could get them used to the flash bulbs and the camera and the hullabaloo when they got to DC. So we raised them up, and then we finally selected the final 2, and Peter came out to our house and he loaded them into his truck and took them out to DC for the official pardoning.
Amazing. And so the pardoning is basically saying you're lucky, Blossom and Peach, because you're not going to end up on the dinner table in 48 hours, whereas millions of other turkeys do.
Yeah, yes. So the pardoning goes back to 1947 to Harry S. Truman. And originally, yeah, we gifted 2 turkeys to the president, and those were consumed. But George Bush Sr. decided that he was going to pardon the turkeys during his administration. And since then, it's become the official pardon.
Oh, right. OK, I got it. And so what happens with the turkeys in the hotel tonight? I mean, I was joking about the fact that they're currently getting spa treatments, but they do have a night of luxury, don't they, John?
Yeah, so we got to experience this last year, and we have a nice room in the Willard Hotel, which is a room right next to the White House. But the turkeys have their own room, and they spread wood shavings on the floor, and obviously some plastic because they do tend to, they don't use the bathrooms quite as well as humans do. But they spend the night there in the hotel with us, and get the royal treatment. We obviously have all sorts of photo ops and have a good time with them, and they're ambassadors for our organization and for all the farmers in the United States, so we treat them as best we can.
And Peter, I can't help but think that if this was in the UK, you'd have the usual animal cruelty lot making a fuss about the fact that you can't take these birds and we shouldn't be eating them. Is there a sort of annual backlash to this tradition of celebrating the animal that does end up on most tables?
Not something that we really experience. We do everything we can to make sure the turkeys are as comfortable and well taken care of. And if you think about it, these 2 turkeys are in one of the finest hotels in the world and get taken care of, like pampered like at the best of any animals there are. So I think it's a positive experience in the U.S. and we would expect something similar to be in the European markets in Great Britain.
They're really ugly. I'm sorry, fellas. I know you love turkeys, but they're not an attractive looking bird, are they? John, can you show me where you are? You're in your farm now, are you? Can we take a look at what's around you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in one of our normal commercial barns. Like I said, the presidential flock was only 40 birds, but on my standard barns, we raise roughly 8,000 birds at one time. And we can open the door here. It might be a little loud, but just give you a peek of what maybe the commercial birds look like inside here, if you can see them.
Wow. And so how many are there in? Oh my word, that is enormous. How many turkeys are in that one barn? What do you call it? Shed?
In this barn,
I don't know.
I'm going to step back out here just because I can barely hear you. But yeah, in that barn, there's roughly 8,000 turkeys in that barn.
Wow, that's like an NHS ward, doesn't it, Thomas? 8,000 turkeys in that one barn. And I'm so sorry to ask this, but will they all be roasted in 48 hours?
No, you have to understand the turkey industry is a 365-day day-a-year business, and these birds will actually not be slaughtered until early January. And these birds will not be. They're going to be 45 pounds, which is roughly 30 kilograms maybe. But so they'll 25 kilograms. They'll be more for breast meat, cut up for deli meat, and the turkey legs we have at some of our festivals and things like that. So these will not be Thanksgiving birds.
Okay, they've had a temporary pardon as well, so that's good news. Right, thank you so much, gentlemen. That was absolutely fascinating. Honestly, Peter Gruhl there and John Zimmerman, turkey experts who have at least, guys, Thomas and Laurie here, at least have educated me a little bit on something I knew absolutely nothing about. Thomas, Americans are a bit weird sometimes, aren't they?
I love these things. I think it's so fun learning all these silly American dishes. When I first heard it, I was like, wait, what? And they stay in this it's one of the best hotels in DC.
Yeah.
But I did see a great tweet I enjoyed today that it said that President Trump has found out that Biden used the auto pen to pardon the previous turkeys, so they're all getting executed. Those pardons are void. So I quite like that. I thought that was a good one. But it's lighthearted fun. The Americans are good at this. I really enjoy this. I think they're Gobble and Waddle this year. That's their name. So quite fun.
Absolutely. And what are your plans for Thanksgiving, Laurie?
Going to enjoy with family, friends, and really excited about it. But I just want to, John and Peter, if you are still listening, I love farmers, and you all do such an incredible job for very little reward. All farmers of all shapes and sizes, no matter what you're growing and cultivating, should be celebrated. And I just want to thank you for coming on this program and talking about this, because it was fascinating, right? We all learned something new, and you all do hard work.
They do. They do.
Food on our plates.
And actually, our British farmers at the moment are having a really hard time with the tax changes, and inheritance tax in particular, and a lot of them are extremely stressed about what that's going to mean for the future of family farms. So I think, I think farmers are amazing.
I bet you couldn't have a barn that big in the UK. They wouldn't allow you, I bet.
No.
8,000 birds in one thing.
They'd need that land for solar panels.
Right.
I'm afraid.
And wind turbines.
And wind turbines, right, let's move on. Still to come this evening on The Late Show Live. That is an Australian senator who walked into Parliament wearing a burqa. What point was she trying to make? This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be the sunniest day of the week for many of us today, but it is feeling colder out there, and there is a frost expected more widely this evening. We've got a northerly wind across the UK, particularly across coastal areas, and this will drag in a few showers to eastern areas of Scotland, England, as well as southwestern areas of Wales, down in the southwest of England too, down into Cornwall. But for many of us, it will be a dry and clear day. Plenty of sunshine out there, but with that northerly wind, it will feel chillier. Temperatures in the single figures wherever you are, and particularly if you're exposed to that onshore wind off the North Sea, it's going to be feeling colder than it has done over the past few days. And now into this evening, there's very little in the way of change. Another dry evening to come for many areas. A few showers, though, across the far north and west of Scotland. We've got a weather front approaching from the north and west that will take centre stage throughout Wednesday afternoon. Across Northern Ireland, we'll start to see some cloud thicken, but further inland across Scotland, northern areas of England. We'll start to see that frost setting in this evening quite early on, I think. And a few showers could come further inland across eastern areas of England this evening. But for many of us, it is going to be a dry night. And as I said, the frost will really start to set in. You can see those blues across the map. That's showing we're expecting temperatures to dip below zero. So it's quite a widespread affair by Wednesday morning, away from the far southeast of England. So we could be down as low as -6 or -7 across parts of Scotland, -5 across rural areas of Wales and parts of the Midlands. As I said, on Wednesday, we've got a weather front on the way. Now that will push into parts of Northern Ireland, much of western Scotland throughout Wednesday morning. The rain's not going to be particularly heavy, but there's going to be a lot of cloud with it. And with this rain and cloud, temperatures will be on the rise. You can see the wind direction starting to shift to more of a southwesterly, so up to 11 or 10 degrees. But in the south and east, although it's dry, it's still going to be a chilly one. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
No meeting scheduled right now. As for where we are, I spoke with Secretary Rubio at length. I spoke with the president as well. Everybody inside feels optimistic about what happened and transpired yesterday in Geneva. Secretary Rubio, Special Envoy Witkoff, the whole team really worked through the points of that 28-point peace plan that the United States authored with input from both sides, the Russians and the Ukrainians. And ultimately, the vast majority of these points have been agreed upon. The Ukrainians have worked on language with us together, and you heard that from their delegation directly yesterday.
So that was, of course, the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt providing an update on peace talks between Ukraine and Russia earlier today here in DC. Let's move on now to look at what's on the front pages of the papers. The Independent are leading with Reeves warning of growth crisis on the eve of the budget. Watchdog to slash the forecast for 2026 and every year of this Parliament. The Business Secretary admitting that Britain is trapped in a growth emergency, but that doesn't sound like it's going to make any difference. None of the warnings compared to what we are going to see on Wednesday. The Metro are leading with 1,000 abuse victims are now safer. This is a Metro campaign. We're seeing Jess Phillips on the front page of the paper there. The Eye are leading with the mansion tax will cause Labour a world of trouble in the budget, warning top economist. And the Daily Mail, they are leading with now Reeves hits prudent savers as she prepares a £15 billion welfare splurge. The Chancellor is going to slash the annual cash ISA from £20,000 to £12,000, basically encouraging you to not save or be prudent or take care of the future, just spend your money. And the Daily Telegraph are saying the BBC is in disarray over the bias claims. We've talked about that, of course, today. And that picture there of Melania Trump, who was accepting the Christmas tree at the White House earlier today. Let's talk to my panel and also bring in Leo Kearse down the line from London. Now then, what shall we talk about now? Shall we talk, Leo, about this Australian senator who's been accused of blatant racism after she wore a burqa to Parliament? Let's have a quick look.
Nothing to offer at the same time. You have nothing to offer. Did you just come from Afghanistan? Wow.
So that's Senator Pauline Hanson. She wore the burqa after she was denied permission to introduce a bill that would outlaw the full face coverings in Australia. She's done such a stunt before. She wore a burqa on the Senate floor in 2017. So, Thomas, what do you think she was trying to do there?
I do think she's funny. I think she's kind of hilarious, and I love that she's willing to pull these sorts of stunts. I don't really understand the whole angle of it being racist because if anything, you could say Islamophobic. I don't think Muslims are a race. So I think people are stretching, but I do think it shows you. I remember in 2017 when this happened, it was insane. There was crazy outrage.
Yeah.
This time, I feel like people are a little bit like, who cares? You know, I think woke is certainly dead, and it's showing with the reaction to this.
Shall we have, before I come to the other two on my panel this evening, let's just have a quick look, because Patrick Christie spoke to Pauline Hanson just a little bit earlier this evening, and this is what she had to say.
People just saying it's open racism, right? That's what they said. You know, how would you respond to that?
They've got nothing else to throw at me. If you really had a debate, then let me put up the bill and then debate it on the floor of Parliament why I'm wrong. But they've got to throw out Islamophobic, you're racist. I've copped that for years all the time, where I call for equality for all Australians.
So, Laurie, we could psychoanalyse why somebody would have such an enormous portrait of themselves behind them.
Stole what I was going to say.
That's a good place to start. What does it tell you about Pauline Hanson?
Well, quite a bit narcissistic. I don't know who this woman is from, just reading about this headline today. Never heard of her. But I'm offended by it, for sure. Yes, I would agree with Thomas. Islamophobic, for sure. That should not be any kind of action or display or anything by a person that is representing, constituents wherever you are in the world. And I think it was abhorrent, and I hope that she receives some kind of penalty for it. And I think she's making a name for herself, continuing to, in a very negative way.
Leo. Can't wait for your response. Off you go, mate.
That's an absolute nonsense. I was lucky enough to have lunch with Pauline Hanson a couple of months ago in Brisbane when I was down there speaking at CPAC, and she's a formidable woman, and she's absolutely right on this. And it's bizarre to me to see a Western woman defending the burqa, this symbol of absolute subjugation, something that erases women from public sight.
Why is it shocking to you? Why is it shocking to you that I support different cultures and people being able to express themselves how they want to?
So you think that some cultures where women are erased and brutalized, you think that sort of culture is okay?
Absolutely not. Every person who wears a burqa is brutalized by their family or their husbands or their culture. So you need to go check your facts there.
Well, I'll let you know that female genital mutilation, issues like that, are far more prevalent in the societies that wear burqas than in societies in the West. Is that what?
Is that why she was demonstrating a burqa? Was over human rights? I don't think so.
Of course.
Not wanting people who are members of parliament to wear them because she doesn't feel comfortable with it. That was why.
So do you think that the Muslim countries, such as Chad and Tunisia, that have banned the burqa, do you think that they're evil and the US should go in there to make sure that these women get their full oppressive veil over their face and have to walk 10 paces behind their husband?
We're not talking about America. I'm a Westerner, as you said, giving a comment in my honest opinion. That's where we're at.
But you support the burqa. You support the burqa. You think the burqa is this wonderful thing. It's just a cultural thing. It's like a Christmas tree or something that we can. It's like Morris dancers. No, this is a symbol of absolute oppression and subjugation.
Overgeneralization there, Leo.
But you support the burqa. I mean, the burqa is the ultimate symbol of oppression of women. Hey, if you're for it, I'm a misogynist. I'm right with you.
Go on, Laurie, but surely it is just about the absolute erasure of women in very patriarchal societies. We would have to wear that to literally disappear. If that isn't the most sexist thing in the world, I don't know what is.
With some families and cultures do that, but that is not what this is about. That was not her argument of why she was wearing it.
Yes,
Prove
it was.
me wrong, Leo.
Yes, it was.
No,
it's about keeping the subjugation of women out of Australia because it's a Western country and she wants it to remain a Western liberal democracy where women have freedom. And she herself has been persecuted by the state. She went to jail. She was in a maximum security prison for 11 weeks for a conviction that was later overturned and clearly politically motivated. So she knows a bit about the persecution of women.
And she knows how to cause political stunts, which is another one that she did today. And everyone's talking about it, so it's a win for her.
But can you not, Laurie, though, relate to the fact that what she's trying to do is incite this conversation. She's trying to spark this debate because she's frustrated.
And we're having it. So she's effective.
So it was right then. So she was right to do that because we are having that conversation, and I don't want to see the burqa normalised on the streets of London. It is already shockingly normal on the streets of London. If you go to the...
There are women in my... I went to yoga this morning and there was a woman in a burqa in my yoga studio this morning. What am I going to do? Rip it off of her? Tell her she can't wear it? That's why in the United States of America there's freedom of expression, freedom of religion. That's not for me to decide.
But is she really free to decide? Is she free to decide? Do you think her husband?
I don't know. I'm not
do you
in
think
her
her
home
husband
or her bedroom
has any say in it? Do you
or
think
with
her
her
culture,
husband.
her society
It's none of my
around
business.
her? I don't think she's deciding. I think other people are deciding. I think it's strange that so many leftist Westerners side with the people who want to brutalise and erase women from society.
So do I, Leo. That's what I find really. I find it really amazing to hear women defending the burqa when it is the ultimate symbol of freedom. Of female oppression and silencing and literally erasing that woman in your yoga studio. Even though she might say she wants to wear it, I don't know. Maybe she's more comfortable doing a downward dog with her face covered. I can't fathom why you would ever have a burqa on in a yoga class.
There's many different types of burqas. Some that cover your entire face, like the woman in Parliament wore. There's others that just cover around your face, others that show your eyes. There's all different versions of a burqa.
And what was the yoga lady wearing?
Her eyes were exposed, but most of her face was covered, as well as her head. And she's also in Western clothes. I'm not the person to tell a person what to do.
When you watch The Handmaid's Tale, are you like, wow, this is amazing? What a wonderful future they're painting here?
No, Leo, that's not my reaction. Nice try.
But they're all free to wear their bonnets that they have to wear.
An observer.
Well, some would argue that in this country we are moving towards the Handmaid's Tale. So.
Well, you certainly are if you let in Islam.
Ask Margaret Atwood, the author.
That's the point, isn't it? You are. If your whole yoga class eventually is women who've got their faces covered.
The whole yoga class. Come on.
Hey, listen. You haven't seen London.
We're not talking about London. We're not even talking about the United States. We're talking about a member of Parliament in Australia.
Well, you might want to watch what's happened in London. When I go, sometimes my former commute to work, there were more women with their heads covered than not on the 3-mile journey, and that is quite a shocking sight. And it depresses me, Thomas. I'll bring you in because I don't know how to explain that to my teenage daughters. When I'm driving down the road with my teenage daughters, and more women have their heads covered than not, I am scared for my daughters and their future, and I have to somehow explain to them the nuance. Well, maybe they do want to wear it, maybe they don't. I don't know, girls. Apparently you've got to cover them up because the men might be tempted to sexually assault them. Thomas, off you go.
I think this is great, actually, because it's not an issue in the United States yet. So this is a very common argument you hear from Americans because they don't see them. You do not see people walking around burqas in DC, even in New York, which, you know, is a multicultural city. You rarely see that. Muslims who move here tend to integrate a lot better than in the UK. In the UK, they sort of segregate themselves. But, you know, I'm sort of staying out of this because I think it's an issue for women to debate. You know what I'd love to see? A woman in a burqa come on and discuss it. But guess what? They're not allowed to. So, you know, I think that tells you everything you need to know about the people that wear these things. So I'm staying well out of it. It's an issue for women to discuss.
I'm going to point out I'm a trans woman.
But Laurie, maybe you can give the number of GB News to the woman in the yoga class with a veil in the class and see if she would come on.
I'll invite her on the show,
please.
Sure. Even Nike, have you not heard that even Nike has started making athleisure wear for women that involves a burqa so they can work out? Even in the Olympics, women were running in burqas.
Yeah, they were.
Hello?
That's not
Leo,
a good thing.
Did you not see this?
That's not a good thing.
Yeah, that's
it's
not
like,
good
oh, we've
thing.
got subjugation in the Olympics
You're saying
now.
they're not allowed to do anything.
Did you know Nike are helping to erase women from public view? Oh, how wonderful. This is fantastic. Oh, my God. The Handmaid's Tale is a warning. It's based on Iran. It's based on what happened in Iran after the revolution in 1979. Please learn about the history of Islam and recognise the threat it poses to the West.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on now. Okay, so this is a slightly lighter story, but and there's not a huge debate in this, but I just think it's quite interesting. There's a 59-year-old politician in Namibia who is likely to win tomorrow's upcoming election in the region. Leo, do you know his name?
Yeah, I do know his name. I've seen this guy before. I voted for him before I even knew where he was standing. So yeah, he's called Adolf Hitler.
Tell us his name.
Adolf Hitler.
He's called Adolf Hitler. That's right. That's Adolf Hitler. He was first elected in 2020 when he received 85% of the vote. He represents the Southwest Africa People's Organization, which has governed Namibia since 1990. I don't know. There's no debate. It's just funny. You got anything on that, Thomas?
Well, it reminds me of it just happened recently in Congress. One of the they were quizzing some people that are taking donations from Jeffrey Epstein, and the congressman turned around and said there was a different Jeffrey Epstein. So this happens kind of often. People get caught up with different names. So we'd like to see some of his policies. I want to see what Hitler is proposing in Namibia. So we'll see what he's going to do.
Yeah. Well, anyway, right. Moving on. The Conservative Party chairman has come under fire after comparing the Reform leader to the Nazi Party. So Nigel Farage has shared an image of a black and gold Reform badge online. We've got the picture of it here. I'm sure if you've been watching GB News today, you'll be very familiar with this story. If you've just come back from work, thank you. Where have you been? Now, Kevin Hollinrake has responded by posting a link to the Golden Party badge, a special award authorised by Adolf Hitler, not the Namibian one, in 1933. And it was given to the first 100,000 Nazi Party members. So, Leo, I mean, it's sort of... I'm not saying that he was right to do this. I get it. But I think he was an idiot to do this, the Conservative Party chairman. He obviously thought it was quite funny, wasn't he? He sort of retweeted the picture of the badge, the Farage one, with the Wikipedia page of the Nazi one with just two eyes, as though nothing to see here. It was kind of coy and meant to be funny. But wow, he got it wrong.
Oh, absolutely. And calling people Nazis. I mean, have we not moved past this? I think if Hitler, the real Hitler, came back from the grave, he'd be very disappointed at the standard of Nazis these days. I get called a Nazi. You know what I mean? Like some guy in a flowery shirt. It's a nonsense. So, yeah, we need to stop calling people Nazis. And I think this is really going to make people, it's going to turn people off the Conservatives, who are already seen as, you know, basically Labour, but, you know, with a different letterhead. So this is just going to make them seem even more like the sort of people who point fingers and say, you're racist, you're a Nazi. It's just pathetic.
Thomas, Nigel Farage is just, literally, they're just ready to throw mud at him in every direction, aren't they?
I know, and they're really getting desperate. I saw this whole thing. He said some mean words at school, and it's like, how old? When was he at school? Like, you know, and this just shows you that they're really starting to worry. And, you know, I always think the last thing they do is start calling you a Nazi. That seems to be their last line of defense. Once they start calling you a Nazi, it shows that you're probably on some good maneuvers. So maybe Nigel is on the right track. But we'll see what happens with him. He's certainly an interesting character.
Laurie, the word Nazi, like, it just gets liberally now thrown around, doesn't it? And when we're using words like that, what do you have left for people who are literally Nazis? Because those people do still exist. Well, we've got no word for them anymore.
I would agree that the word is overused, and even Leo said that in the Conservative Party, whether it's in the US or in the UK, that word is thrown around a lot. And you know, Thomas, Laura Loomer even recently said that the Republican Party here in the United States has a Nazi problem.
Well, Laura Loomer says a lot of things. I don't think I listen to too much of what Laura's up to, but sometimes she's right, sometimes she's wrong, so we'll see.
Let's have a look at a couple of stories in today's Telegraph in the inside pages. So pointed knives apparently should be taxed in the budget to save lives, according to the former judge Nick Madge, that she has told Rachel Reeves. Leo, get your head out of your hands. So she's written to the Chancellor urging her to impose a levy as an incentive for manufacturers to phase out pointed knives and replace them with safer versions with rounded ends. Just talking to two people here on the panel who live in a country with guns, how ludicrous does that actually sound, Laurie?
Really, really, because yesterday, after after yoga, I went with some women to a good company to have a donut, and the guy that works there, he gave us a knife that you could literally stab someone to death with, and I said, "You're giving me this knife?" And he said, "Yeah, do you want a fake knife or this real knife?" And I was like, "I'll take a fake knife." And he's like, "No, feel free to put this in your purse if you want." And I was shocked. This thing had a blade like you've never seen before. So here in the US, yes, no one's afraid to give sharp knives to anyone.
What's happened to us, Leo Kirst, that we now blame the knife rather than the person that's holding it?
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely. And this is why people are so polite in America, because you've got guns and knives and things. In Britain, apparently, we're now just allowed a teaspoon. But this is nonsense. I mean, if you look at people going stabbing rampages like Axel Ruda Cabana, he wouldn't have been put off by a 20 pence levy on a knife. You know what I mean? We need to deal with the people who want to the ideologies and the motivations behind them killing, rather than making me butter my crumpet with a spoon.
I wish you could have seen this thing. It was like a shiv that you'd find in like a prison fight. Like it was horrible.
Thomas, what's happened to us? Leo has to butter his crumpet with a spoon because the Brits can't be trusted near a pointy end.
I know, and it's so embarrassing. It really is. To sit here and listen to these are serious proposals that are being put in. Remember the guy?
Somebody sat down with Rachel Reeves. She's literally writing the budget and gone, "Can you just put a little bit in the margin there about pointy knives?"
Yeah, I remember an MP said he wanted to put trackers in all the knives and all of these things. It's just like, can we just get to the bottom of what this real problem is? And I want pepper spray. Bring pepper spray to England. The women need to have pepper spray. And they always argue and say, well, no, we don't want the bad guys to have pepper sprays. They've all got knives. Maybe
I've
they've
got
got
some
rounded
in my
knives.
purse right outside of the studio too.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's so embarrassing to be British. It used to be so cool. We were like the cool people of the world, and now it's just like...
You were so punk. What happened?
I know, it's so sad. And let me just give you another example of why we are so sad. Apparently in the paper, David Lammy is saying that he is citing serial sex offender Bill Cosby, Leo, as one of his childhood role models.
Man, this guy needs to read a newspaper. This is insane. I mean, is he unaware of the controversy around Bill Cosby? Although, to be honest, the way the government tried to get us to take our COVID jabs was kind of reminiscent of Bill Cosby trying to get an actress to finish a gin and tonic.
Oh, yikes.
we might have just pushed it over that level. Not on the COVID jabs. I'm all right with that bit. But yeah, he's famously just ridiculous, isn't he? Let me move on. What else have we got to talk about here? What about this one? Apparently there's a video to mark International Men's Day? No, is this something? No, sorry, that's the same story. American troops in the Caribbean have reportedly been told they may not be able to go home for Thanksgiving and Christmas as the White House is ramping up its pressure campaign on Venezuela. So leave is being restricted over the festive period in preparation for land strikes in the region, according to CNN, Thomas. What?
Yeah, I mean, we are literally maybe days away from war with Venezuela, which is kind of crazy. People don't really seem to realize the massive buildup. This is the largest naval buildup of U.S. forces since Pearl Harbor, since the invasion of Japan, sorry. So they're really sending a lot of pressure onto Venezuela. It is now a no-fly zone over Venezuela. And Republicans are a little bit surprised because the president ran on no new wars. And all of a sudden, we've got to go to war with Venezuela.
I'm not sure this is going to escalate.
Why it's so bad is because even members of the Senate Intelligence Committee haven't been briefed on this appropriately.
Yes.
I'm sure you would agree, Thomas. This is very scary business.
Let's just finish on something a little lighter if we can. Shall we watch the footage of a Native American Indian doing a performance to, I think it's a school board, it's a committee. Have you seen this footage, Leo? Literally nothing that is not meant to be as funny is as funny as this. It's the Garden Grove Unified School District in California, and they had a Board of Education meeting, and it was all very serious, and all the kind of committee members are sat around, and just have a watch of this. It's hilarious. If you're listening on the radio, it's a Native American Indian I don't know how to describe that, Thomas.
Yeah, and he's draped in like LGBT flags and the whole.
Well, he's got his feathers on. It's the fact that all of the serious guys around the edges and the woman, they're all so. How can they not be laughing, Leo, watching that? Why?
I know this is kind of nonsensical. And how come it's offensive when I do this at Halloween, but it's not offensive when this guy does it for a school board? Yeah, the LGBT, it's obviously not, authentic, because I'm pretty sure they didn't have pride parades in like Navajo territory. This is very silly.
Laurie, can you explain that again? It's another bit of American insanity that we just find it very hard to relate to in the UK.
I will not laugh or make jokes about Native Americans and the dancing and singing that they do about their tribe. And Leo, you can laugh all you want. You're not going to bait me into this.
Oh, come on.
No,
listen.
Take it.
Is that how it's offensive? Because I'm not laughing at the guy. I think that's really cool. What I'm laughing at more is the serious sort of grey, pallid people in the background not raising a smile.
I was laughing at the guy.
Smile? They're so serious. It's the juxtaposition. Are you meant to watch that and just be very po-faced and earnest and take it seriously, Laurie? Was that why we find it funny? Are we inappropriately laughing?
I'm not laughing at all. I'm taking it seriously right now. Do you see me cracking a smile?
Oh, come on. You're winding me up.
Nope, not going to do it.
But don't you think it's actually kind of patronising to treat Native Americans with such reverence as if they're a completely separate, the way leftists treat, any sort of Aboriginal people is as if they're a completely separate species. It's absolutely bizarre. It's a guy. It's just like me. Like he's obviously not, riding a horse around and shooting a bow and arrow. He's a guy who probably has a job somewhere.
Yeah, surely that's funny. Thomas, help me out here. There's clearly a cultural divide that I'm not satisfactorily straddling.
It is weird, and they love doing these sorts of things. But you know what? I actually do like this. I love Laura's reaction because we can use this to our advantage. Because every time it comes up and there's a policy about England, I say, I am an indigenous person of the island of England. My family, people who've been there for thousands of years. We demand the same respect that you give to these crazy people dancing around. So we can use it. We can use it. The English are indigenous to the island, so we can use that. But I think it also shows you how dead the woke world is. Remember when the hacker is so ridiculous now. When you see them do this stupid rugby thing, everyone's like, what is this? We're so sick of these people.
The problem as well is the left has got no sense of humour. And ultimately, human beings need a good reason to laugh. And we have done that tonight. Thank you so much, Leo Kearse. Great to see you. Extremely entertaining. I will think of you when I butter my crumpet with a spoon in the morning. Laurie Watkins, great to see you. I love the fact that you put up a good fight, even though you couldn't raise a smile at the Native American Indian at the end. And Thomas, thank you so much. And you will be back with me on Thanksgiving.
We'll be there.
Because only the Brits are available. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back tomorrow night on midnight. See you then.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be the sunniest day of the week for many of us today, but it is feeling colder out there and there is a frost expected more widely this evening. We've got a northerly wind across the UK, particularly across coastal areas, and this will drag in a few showers to eastern areas of Scotland, England, as well as southwestern areas of Wales, down in the southwest of England too, down into Cornwall. But for many of us, it will be a dry and clear day. Plenty of sunshine out there, but with that northerly wind, it will feel chillier. Temperatures in the single figures wherever you are, and particularly if you're exposed to that onshore wind off the North Sea, it's going to be feeling colder than it has done over the past few days. And now into this evening, there's very little in the way of change. Another dry evening to come for many areas. A few showers, though, across the far north and west of Scotland. We've got a weather front approaching from the north and west that will take centre stage throughout Wednesday afternoon. Across Northern Ireland, we'll start to see some cloud thicken, but further inland across Scotland, northern areas of England. We'll start to see that frost setting in this evening quite early on, I think. And a few showers could come further inland across eastern areas of England this evening. But for many of us, it is going to be a dry night. And as I said, the frost will really start to set in. You can see those blues across the map. That's showing we're expecting temperatures to dip below zero. So it's quite a widespread affair by Wednesday morning away from the far southeast of England. So we could be down as low as -6 or -7 across parts of Scotland, -5 across rural areas of Wales and parts of the Midlands. As I said, on Wednesday, we've got a weather front on the way. Now that will push into parts of Northern Ireland, much of western Scotland throughout Wednesday morning. The rain's not going to be particularly heavy, but there's going to be a lot of cloud with it. And with this rain and cloud, temperatures will be on the rise. You can see the wind direction starting to shift to more of a southwesterly, so up to 11 or 10 degrees. But in the south and east, although it's dry, it's still going to be a chilly one. Bye-bye.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello and a very, very good evening to you. Welcome to GB News Tonight with me, your host, Martin Daubney. Coming up on tonight's show.
I'm not going to apologise for a tweet that was made in jest. There's far too much time spent on silly things like tweets at a time when we've got a budget on Wednesday.
Earlier today, the Tory leader Kemi Badenoch doubles down and defended her chairman, having compared Reform UK to the Nazi Party. I'll be joined by a Reform UK councillor who says that he has suffered racist abuse simply for being in the party.
The
And live picture on your screen now from Wales. Nigel Farage is set to take to the stage any moment now as Reform UK gears up for the local elections in May in Wales for the Senedd, and we'll be taking you live to North Wales in just a moment's time. And meanwhile,
the foundations.
Fixing the foundation.
To fix the foundations of our economy.
Fixing the foundations. Well, the government is set to announce a whopping £15 billion increase to the benefits bill at this Wednesday's budget. But will this take the nation's finances to the brink? And meanwhile,
the mistakes that have been made